Bangladesh and Myanmar. So I want you to explain in complete layman terms what this Rakhine state, this Cox's Bazar, what is Bangladesh involved in this, in what manner, the big powers game out here, America, China, what is happening in this Rakhine state area?
Okay. Thank you. Firstly, let me express my deep gratitude to you for having me over.
Thank you.
It's good to be here again after my last visit. So coming to the issues that you asked me to speak about as an introductory part, let me start with, let me go from north to south. And Cox's Bazar, where you marked, there is a port here. There's a seaport here which is used for commercial purposes only. And this is also a port where there was a consignment of weapons which was dropped way back in 1993. There was this famous Operation Golden Bird undertaken. So those weapons were dropped. They came in that ship essentially for all our insurgent groups in the northeast, primarily the Naga insurgents. So that is the background of Cox's Bazar. It also is adjoining Rakhine state, which is there in Myanmar. Between the two, the boundary that is there, which you see marked in white, is actually the Naf River. That's the border between the two countries. And the region which borders or is at Naf River is generally that area is called Teknaf. And across the river in Myanmar and Rakhine State, that place is called Butidong. Why I'm referencing to these places are because much of the movement of the Rohingyas, the refugees, which has happened in 2017-18, is astride this. Again, for the information of your viewers, the Rakhine problem of these Rohingyas actually goes back almost to 1978. That is when the first batch of refugees came into Bangladesh. So from then on, they have been coming at various times. That
you're talking about Rohingya refugees?
Yeah, Rohingya refugees coming from Rakhine into Bangladesh. So currently the figures are, that is in Bangladesh, over 1 million. People put it at 1.2 million.
1.3, yeah.
1.2, 1.3 million, thereabouts. And these are the people who have largely come in after 2017. While these people have come, but you still have close to 6 lakh Rohingyas in Rakhine state. And traditionally, the Rohingyas have never been accepted as citizens in Myanmar. In fact, there is also a Citizenship Act which was passed in sometimes in 1982 in Myanmar, whereby they were in some way ostracized, having no citizenship.
And they're minority even in Rakhine state.
Yeah, I'll give you the demographics of that. Rakhine is again a mixed composition. It has largely the Buddhists who are about 86%. Then you have 76%, not 86%. About 22% are the Rohingyas, the Muslims. Whereas the other Arakanese are Buddhists. And then, of course, there are some Christians, about 2%, and others. So the atrocities, so-called atrocities that have happened, have always been against the Rohingyas, the Muslims. If I can just take a minute and go back a little more in time,
Sure.
They came, how the word Rohingya evolves, is from an Arab word, rehem, a mercy. So somewhere in 1752, there was a ship load of Arabs who had come here. It got shipwrecked, and the local king there gave them succor, aid, help, and that's how rehem. So from rehem, that word then became Rohingyas and then Rohingyas. And gradually, also some people from Bangladesh migrated here. They got mixed Muslims, which is why in Rakhine, in Myanmar, they call them Bengalis. When they address Rohingyas, they give a blanket term, Bengalis, which means you don't belong here. So that is the whole problem. Now in Rakhine state, again, if you look, what is happening is this fight that is there between Myanmar army, Tamadao, and the Arakan army. Arakan army now is the strongest ethnic armed group there. It claims on its official website that it has a strength of close to 32,000 and hugely armed. And mind you, they were raised only in 2009. And we can speak of that later. But today the scene is Arakan army is fighting the Tamadao. Out of the 17 cities that are there in Rakhine state, there are only 14 which are, 14 of them are with the Rohingyas, with the Arakan army. The Myanmar army, Tamadaw, has only 3 cities under the control, and 2 of which are
So
Sitwe.
it's largely independent, you would say.
Largely independent.
Though they've not declared independence.
The point to note is this border which is there between Myanmar and Bangladesh, this 271 kilometers, 270, is totally under the control of the Arakan army. Which means out of the 5 countries that Myanmar shares border with, this is the only border which is not with Myanmar army. It's not under the control at all.
So the pushing of the Rohingyas into Bangladesh is done by the Arakan army's permission, or
traditionally been done by the Tamadaw or the.
But now,
Since
it's
that's
in
the whole
control
point.
of the Arakan
It's in
army
control
now.
of the Arakan. The Arakan army now, in some way, they have sobered a bit, though they have also committed atrocities, excesses against the Rohingyas. So Rohingyas are in a very peculiar spot. They have, people using force, the Arakan army, the Tamadaw also. So they have their own militia, the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, for example. Then Arakan Rohingya group. There are 2-3 small militias which are there.
Do subscribe to the ANI Clips channel to get shorter versions of this podcast. Click here to watch the full episode.